Hello and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David.
And I'm Craig 3.
Back in black, Craig 3.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while, man. I'm glad you could join.
Yeah, man.
So
I
we
miss
are
it.
like T minus 2 hours from The Mandalorian, a little bit less than watching the season 3 premiere on Disney Plus. Hopefully the servers don't go down. We're praying all over here. But yeah, the red carpet premiere just happened in Hollywood, and there are some reactions out there. Nothing too spoilery, but the one big reaction I was waiting for, and the one person I trust gave me the exact reaction I was expecting. And they did show them the first 2 episodes, and they are great, good to great. They are back. We will be back in the Mandoverse. They kind of compared it to, okay, so you go into Andor and you get what you get with Andor. That's its own kind of Star Wars flavor. But when we jump back into Mandalorian season 3, we're gonna get exactly what we've been getting for the past 2 seasons. I know you want to talk about the highlights of the past 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, 2019 and 2020. It's been a while. We're in the year 2023 now, which is
Isn't it hard to
crazy.
it's been 2 years since that Luke Skywalker episode, which was
Crazy, right?
the my favorite TV episode ever. I waited to see that Luke Skywalker for 30 years. There he is! I waited like 30 years to see that version of Luke Skywalker, and to see him come in like that, it was incredible. I mean, so if they couldn't do anything like what they've done, like, because to me that was the best TV episode I've ever seen, and even if they could even come close to that this season, I'll be happy.
I'm
I
hoping
know,
they bring Luke back.
yeah. I mean, you know me, I'm a big Luke fan.
Yeah, yeah. In a big, huge battle, like a huge sequence. Hopefully, we get it in a climactic thing. But John Favreau's been talking a lot in the media about certain aspects of The Mandalorian. He has said so much that we're in the middle chapter of the Mandalorian story, but he also said that he can see the Mandalorian continuing on in perpetuity and just really never kind of ending, and we just travel along with a set of characters. He compared it to like the Game of Thrones, to where you have people grow up, die, and then the children kind of take over. They grow up and die. It's an everlasting kind of mythology that we can get, which would be awesome. It just sucks that I'm like in my 40s and I'm not like in my 20s or a teenager, and like all these lucky kids today are getting all this stuff, and
Hey man,
us.
but we got the original trilogy,
Yeah,
so you know.
yeah, we got the thing that sparked all of the fandom, and we got to dream in the 90s when there was no films, no TV shows. We
You
just
know,
had
it's
the
fun
Timothy Zahn books.
is that I remember I must have been, I don't know, I guess about 20 years old. I'm 47 now. And my brother, who's like 11 years younger, he was a kid. He was like, "You think we're ever gonna get a Boba Fett figure with his helmet off?" And I laughed at him, and I'm like, "No way, no, it's never gonna happen. We're never gonna see Boba Fett." And then, I mean, that was even before episode one. And it's look at what we're getting now.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, man. So Colin, James, and myself, we were on Patreon daily. If you haven't joined Patreon, check it out. We do a lot of extra podcasts there. But we were talking about the end of Revenge of the Sith, walking out of the theater from the premiere and back in 2005, and having this like depression and sadness because we knew that that was it. There was nothing else planned afterwards,
Yeah.
and I was walking out of there thinking it's like, man, the only way we're gonna get new Star Wars, very morbid, but maybe George Lucas passes away and his kids get the franchise. I
Mhm.
never thought he would sell like the way he did. But I mean, he took the 4 billion and donated it to charity, and of course he didn't need the money. But I mean, it's still. I mean, George Lucas is still the gift that kind of keeps on giving here. Not all of them have been hits, but I mean, we've been getting Star Wars, and we have something to talk about, something to look forward to, something to react to in social media, and just to give Lucasfilm our opinion. And Jon Favreau said in an interview today, I posted it on the Facebook group, that he does look at reaction videos, and
I saw that.
he does he does really give value and consideration and respect to the community that has developed online that talks about Star Wars. And
Yeah.
it's an incredible thing. And we talk about it. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I saw the interview too, and he was actually asking the interviewer questions about and trying to get insight about, like, what do you think? You guys think about the show and talk about the show all the time. Tell me what you guys think.
Gosh, man. I kind of have a regret now from Celebration, because back in Celebration Anaheim last year, 2022, when they had that Mandalorian experience, Jon Favreau was freely just walking around taking pictures and talking to people. And it's like, if I would have just like went from the arena to the Mandalorian experience, I could have had that experience too, but I waited till like the last second to go to that thing
Wait,
because it was like across the way.
that they said you had it didn't start for like the next day, I think, and you had to enter that code or whatever, like on the app right away, and it was like selling out in like a second.
Yeah, it was really weird. I didn't do the code thing. I kinda got, like, ushered in there by one of our, podcast friends that was working one of the booths. So I got kinda lucky. I almost missed it, but I took all kinds of pictures and stuff, and I think I've
I,
posted some of them on Patreon.
let's just say there was a tremendous amount of security.
Yes, there was layers of
Tremendous.
security. Well, I mean, it was the actual props and everything from the show, and what I found out later was Jon Favreau, on his own dime, moved that stuff from the sets from Manhattan Beach Studios to Anaheim. It's like, wow. It's like
Yeah.
that's someone that really loves what he does and cares about the fans and
Yeah.
is a fan and puts himself in our shoes. And he's got a lot on his plate, man. And that was an awesome experience.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. I managed to get in. We'll leave out details, but I managed to get in.
I mean, yeah, Celebration is like that, man. I mean, you travel all that way and then to be like denied entrance into something, it's like on the other side of the wall, you know? It's like, come on. And then when you finally do get at an event or a panel, you see all these empty seats and it's like,
it was
we're not breaking fire code here because we use half the arena.
it was infuriating, to be honest, and it's very disheartening. And think like, I know you guys are going to London. I'm not going this time, but it was very frustrating to think, oh, I'm going to go all the way across the world, and then I don't get to go to any of the things I want to see. It's like, I'd rather camp out knowing I have a shot than have it random, or at least fill the seats. Reed Pop.
So yeah, Reed Pop runs these conventions. They run C2E2, they run the New York Comic Con, and of course they run Celebration. They've been running it for years, but
Running into the ground.
yeah, the lottery system is not something that we look favorably upon on the Star Wars Stuff podcast. So yeah, speaking of
And now,
patrons,
now they're saying they're not going to stream this year.
that's the other crazy thing. Well, I mean, they didn't stream last year.
They didn't stream any of it?
No, they didn't. We were there, Craig. We were there actually in person, so we didn't care. So yeah, I mean, yeah, James told me on Patreon Daily, he was like, they didn't stream it. And I was like, what? And I was thinking, yeah, I was either in a panel with you or I was meeting you and McGregor at some point, and I skipped the panel that was happening at that point in time. But yeah, I wanted to point out the patrons we have in chat here. We have Chris, who lives across the pond, and hopefully we do meet on at Celebration on that Friday. So yeah,
Who?
just have to comment there.
Chrisla?
Yeah, Chris Simpson. He's been a patron and supporter of our podcast for years now.
Oh, man.
Also,
wear your deodorant that day, David, please. If
oh
you're
yeah,
gonna,
for sure, 100%. Yeah,
supporter deserves your deodorant.
especially now. Yeah. So yeah, Macca, we actually met at in front of the food trucks in Anaheim. He tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, "David," and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "It's me, it's Macca." I don't. I think I'm paraphrasing, but
I
yeah,
think I was out there with you at that when that happened. Where wasn't I with you?
I'm not quite sure, man. I don't think so. I don't
I
know. I'm
remember
thinking back.
when
Were you?
somebody like was like telling us, "Oh my God, we love watching you."
I don't think it was Macca though, because Macca, I think I was alone by the food trucks, and I was talking to some guys that I know from Austin and Houston that do the Cantina Cast,
Hmm.
and yeah, man, Macca has been a huge contributor to the podcast, and yeah, he's got a full night plan, a full slate. Hogwarts Legacy, Mando season 3, Bad Batch. What a time to be alive! Yeah, we're just talking about that,
Can we
man.
talk about Bad Batch for a minute? I don't think I've even watched the last two episodes. It has been so slow.
Uh,
Oh, the way the season one ended, it looked like we were going to get some really interesting stuff, and it's been okay. There was a couple episodes that I liked, but how many have been out now? Seven,
Something
six.
like that, yeah.
The first few I was watching, I was so excited, and I was just like, what is this? There's a pod race episode. It was like the two clone episodes that I saw were really good with um what's his name there? Crosshair.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he did that race, he ran that race by himself. Yeah, it's crazy that Rhea Perlman is a character.
I don't know. It was
That's kind of wild.
I've been very kind of disappointed with Bad Batch. It just feels like they don't know where to go with it.
I do like the tone of Bad Batch. They're like for me, it's almost an acquired taste with Bad Batch, and we do have a Bad Batch podcast that we do every Wednesday, breaking down the episodes
Hmm.
with Colin, Josh, Star, Hunter, Christian. They do a really great job breaking down the stuff because they're
Hunter,
really
Hunter. You got to say
Hunter
Vega
tick
says it.
tick. Yeah. So yeah, man, they do a great. They've been killing it. I've been watching it every Wednesday, and I love their breakdowns. But yeah, it's we're here to talk about Mando season 1. It feels like it's a classic, man.
I've just
I've
started watching from season one again.
yeah, the rewatch. My gosh, man, it feels like it was made years and years ago. It's
It was at this. It's been like 5 years, probably, right?
well, 2018, I think that's when they actually made it, and 2019 is when it was released.
Yeah.
And I mean, it launched with Disney Plus. That was the first thing on Disney Plus that was kind of vehicle Disney Plus. And I mean, that season, it's just rock solid. There's you can't really
There's
poke any
two
holes.
there for me. One real, the one with that young bounty hunter that was like, oh man, that one was.
Toro Calican.
Is that his name?
Yeah, he's actually the son of Bobby
I think,
Cannavale.
is it the son or the
The son
nephew?
of Bobby Cannavale.
Okay.
Yeah, Toro
Uh,
Calican. And if you look at the art at the end of the show, they actually had in their mind to cast Orlando Bloom for that part. Because if you look closely, it's Orlando Bloom's face. It's kind of wild. But yeah,
well,
Bobby Cannavale was
episode was not so hot for me, and the one where they go to the prison ship is another one that I was just kind of like meh about. But the rest of them were really good. Some were great.
yeah. Yeah, I mean
But
it's
season two was just fantastic.
yeah, season 2, that first episode we talked about it last podcast was like a mini movie. And it was over
Yeah,
an hour long, and now we're going to get a 29-minute episode.
that's so short. Like we've waited 2 years for this. That come up with was 29 minutes
Yeah, that
and 8 episodes.
feels
Why 8 episodes? They can't. I mean, is
well.
anybody else treated like this? By the, I mean, I feel like these episodes should be longer or more of them. Like, it's just frustrating to be so short.
Yeah. It is frustrating, but yeah, I every time a new HBO Max series gets dropped, it's always an hour long, and I'm always asking myself, why can't Star Wars do this? I know it sounds like we're spoiled fans, but it's like, man, HBO releases all these awesome shows. Then they show a preview for the next show for the next week, and then they do a breakdown with the creators.
Hmm.
And it's like, why doesn't Star Wars do that? That would be
They
awesome.
should. They really should.
Yeah.
You know how many YouTubers are out there, breaking stuff down. There's obviously a huge demand to see breakdowns.
Yeah, for
Not
sure. For
have
sure.
on Joe and Dave Filoni every week,
Yeah.
and the director that did that particular episode, and you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
That would be fantastic because we're gonna get a new slate of directors. I have a graphic here that shows every single director that's going to be on the show somewhere around here.
Now, the
Right
guy who
here.
the Luke episode isn't doing one this year.
Yeah, Peyton Reed, he directed Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as well, and he used the volume in that film. But yeah, the names that jump out to me are Peter Ramsey, who was one of the directors on Into the Spider-Verse.
I
And
haven't seen Into the Spider Verse.
you haven't seen it?
No.
It's it's up there as one of the greatest comic book films of all time, Craig. You
I've
need to watch it.
I've heard it's good. I haven't sat down to watch it.
Really, really good. And apparently Rick Famuyiwa, who directed episode 2 of chapter 1, he's gonna direct, I think, 3 episodes this year. The opener and the finale. And Bryce Dallas Howard, I believe, is gonna direct 2.
Now Filoni's directing one, isn't he?
No.
No,
Filoni, yeah, yeah, because he was busy with the Ahsoka show.
I thought for some reason that they had said he was directing one a few months ago.
I think he's directing all the Ahsoka show episodes. So
Okay.
yeah, he's got his hands full with that. But yeah, it's a stacked cast, and I believe Rachel Morrison also was a DP who's making her directorial debut. But yeah, I mean it's an interesting director list there, and of course the Mandalorian schedule. It's 8 episodes, gonna end April 19th. But the thing I'm curious about is the episode 6, episode 7. So those 2 episodes kind of start before Celebration and end after Celebration. So I'm wondering, are they gonna give us those 2 or give us maybe episode 7 and maybe the finale at Celebration?
Oh, they won't give the finale.
You don't think so?
No, they're not going to do it. No, they won't spoil it. They'll want
Massive
it.
spoilers, right?
Yeah,
You
they
know,
won't.
every time you go to Celebration and you go into a panel, so this will be my 5th Celebration that I go to.
Mhm.
They have people walking up and down the stairs and in the aisles looking directly at you, like staring you in the eyeballs. And you can feel them. You can like feel the heat of the person like looking at you and inspecting you, making sure you're not recording. So when these leaks get up online, it's like, how do they do it? How was that even possible? But I
You
don't know.
know, where there's a will, there's a way.
Or maybe they know the usher that's going up and down. I don't know.
The
Who
usher's the one
knows?
that are recording it.
That I guess that's
Now
possible
that
too.
would be great if it was the ushers.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
We just got to start bribing. Here's $100. Leave me alone. Why not? What usher's gonna turn that down?
Uh,
I didn't see nothing.
Man, it's yeah, it is a tricky situation that Reed Pop has because um they hire people essentially off the street to do this. And when I was in Orlando, I was entering like on day 2 or day 3 of Celebration 2017, and one of the ushers like grabbed me and they're like, "Hey, what is this for?" I'm like, What do you mean what is this for?" They go, "This convention, what is it? Like Star Trek?" And I said, no, it's Star Wars." And like, oh, okay. And then that person turned around and told their friend what they were working. And
And
I was like, oh my gosh. And then Corey D. Williams, Billy D. Williams' son, walks in like right after. And I'm like, hey, Corey, what's up? And I took a picture with him. So I guess it
that,
was a,
that celebration, like you could walk behind like the black curtain area, and everybody was walking right by you. Like my girlfriend and I were going into the bathroom in that area, and Carrie Fisher went into the bathroom with my girlfriend, and I was holding Gary. I held Gary. I was
oh my
holding him
gosh.
into the bathroom. I have like a picture with the dog, and
What celebration was this?
I don't know, 5 or 6. One of the
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And I'm like,
Wow.
I have a picture with like Ian McDermott walking right by me, like when I was back there for the bathroom area. Like you could just like there was like access, and like everybody was just walking right by.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill walked by.
Yeah, that was the experience I had at Star Wars night at Disneyland. We weren't quite sure if there was going to be celebrities, but the way it worked out was you bought a ticket for Star Wars night Disneyland that Friday, I believe, last year in 2022, and the general public was let in, but we had no idea that the media and celebrities were let in a few hours before that. So
Mhm.
they were riding rides unimpeded, no lines, and the celebrities stayed in the park. We didn't know that. So me and my buddy Carl, we went to Oga's Cantina, and it was crazy trying to get a reservation. Man, we had to stand in certain spots to get Wi-Fi access and LTE access, and it was just kind of nerve wracking because I'd been to Galaxy's Edge a few times, but I never was able to get into Oga's. So we finally get in, we
Mhm.
sit down towards the entrance, and then all of a sudden, like the crowd erupts and there's clapping, and I'm like, is this like a normal occurrence? No, it was Ian McDermott walking in with his family
That's
with
awesome.
bodyguards around him, and he walked right past us. And I had to tell the table, I was like, hey, 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 the Emperor's here. And so we're looking around, and of course, he's just covered in bodyguards, so there's no way you can like approach him or anything. And of
Yeah.
course, he does signings and photo ops, so he makes money there as well. But I noticed that I had two friends at the bar that I hadn't seen in a while on the 501st. So I was like, I'm gonna make my way to the bar, talk to them, and get some like
Right.
little peeks at Ian. So I do that. I talk to my buddies, and they were just as freaked out as we were. They're like, you realize what's happening right now, right? The emperor is eating or drinking right behind us. And yeah, he was like just steps away behind the bar from us. And it was wild. But the cool thing was Ian totally knew the moment when he was walking out and they let him out through like the emergency exit. And he got up to the door. We all knew he was leaving. He got up to the door and his back is to us. And then he stops. And then he does one of these. He turns around and goes, and then everyone just like erupts and like cheers for him. And
I'll show you a picture real quick. I pulled it up. Here's a picture of my girlfriend with Gary. That
oh, nice.
so people won't think I'm a crazy liar. Here is another one.
Wow.
And hold on, I think okay. Here's Ian McDermott. Remember, I said you there's like access. It says August. There he is, walking right by me.
Nice. Yeah, he
Just
hasn't changed a bit.
yeah, you could just. But see, he's just like everybody was like standing around. There's Ian right there. Nobody's around.
Yeah.
Um, and that's it. That was for 2012. What was that? 5 or 6? I don't remember.
Man, I don't know. I just remember not having the money and watching ads on the internet for Celebration that happened in Indianapolis. And MTV actually did a True Life. My dad is like a fanboy or something, and it was the dad that was in the Star Wars, and his son wasn't. And his son wanted to spend time with his dad, and they took a trip to Celebration in Indianapolis, and a camera crew like followed them around, and he was all into Star Wars, and the son wasn't. And the dad ended up getting the son to like by the end of the show dress up as like a Jedi or something. But I was like, man, that's like the coolest dad ever. I was like, I wish my dad would take me to a celebration. But yeah, I mean, Celebration is such an awesome place. I mean, we could talk forever about our experiences and corn muffins and waiting in line and DJs at 2 a.m.
Oh God, yeah. It hasn't all been glory, I can tell you that. There's been a lot of pain and suffering.
Yeah. But for the people that just joined, I think we got more people than we usually do because it's Mandalorian premiere night. So the premiere just happened. So there's some pictures that are dropping. You can clearly see it says the Mandalorian season 3. There was a red carpet in Hollywood, and there was some very notable people that showed up. Pretty much everyone. Here's a group picture of the cast. You
Okay.
see Bob Iger, far left. Favreau in front, Giancarlo Esposito, Amy Sedaris, Pedro Pascal. Hugging Katie Sackhoff right behind them is the armor, Emily Swallow, Rick Famuyiwa, the director of a few episodes, Carl Weathers, of course, the guy in the cowboy hat, Dave Filoni, and I don't know who that's in front. I don't know that person. Anyone in chat know?
I don't know who that is either.
I don't think I've ever seen that person.
Who's in the pink dress?
Amy Sedaris, Peli Motto.
Okay.
She usually has the big Ellen Ripley.
I'm not used to seeing her with blonde hair. It looks like she's got blonde hair there.
Yeah, she has blonde hair. I actually watched a Jon Favreau old school interview that he did with Charlie Rose when he was talking about swingers. So yeah, this was like decades ago. He mentions Amy Sedaris as being one of the performers in Chicago at Second City, where he was like trying to learn, but he was like working in the kitchen or something, which of course we all know Jon Favreau's great movie chef, his love for food. But yeah, he became friends with Amy Sedaris and kind of brought her along. But Amy Sedaris is onto her own, has made her way to a lot of comedy hits, and I think she's regarded as one of the greatest guests on Letterman as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Kind of.
and her brother is also just as famous. I know he wrote a book, like a best-selling book that's like hilarious. I actually had a coworker talk to me about the book, and she was like trying to get me to read the book, and I was like, okay, sure, let me borrow it. But she actually ended up leaving the job after a while. But yeah, so everyone's walking the red carpet. There's pictures of Pedro. He's got his big up glasses on.
And his pants were like gigantic. Gonna fall on them. Did you see the picture like with his you can't see him there, but I was like, man, he's gonna be tripping all over the place.
Yeah. Omid Abtahi, I ran into him at Celebration. I talked to him getting on the elevator going down to my level in the parking garage, and he was pretty cool. He talked to me. We had a conversation, and yeah, he's of course he plays
That Dr. Pershing.
Yeah, Dr. Pershing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was trying to think of his title, trying to get that correct. But yeah, so yeah, he has the cloners patch on his jumpsuit. So all this is going to end up leading to the cloning and the cloning of Snoke, we're assuming.
Yeah, that's what I think.
A long time ago, there was an article ran that talked about the fact that the Mandalorian was going to lead up to the sequel trilogy and cloning and Snoke and all that, which I would love to see Andy Serkis back as Snoke. I mean, come on.
Listen, Andy Serkis is great, but that trilogy was not fantastic.
Yeah. So Miss Sunflower, who's given us a lot of chat responses here, is asking, is this the El Capitan Theater also? I think it is. They always do red carpets there, Marvel and Star Wars. If it's not El Capitan, it's pretty close to it because they shut down that street, they block it off for the day, and then they use the theaters that are there. So yeah. So going back to these pictures that I got, we also have. So this was the guy from episode 1 of The Mandalorian, the guy that was picking on Horatio Sands' Mythrol character.
Oh, the big dude.
Yeah, the big dude. And I believe
doesn't he also do Paz Vizsla too?
Possibly. I'm not quite sure.
I thought he did.
We all know Favreau does the voice for Paz Vizsla, but he might be actually be in the suit. Yeah, you might be right. I'm not
It would
sure.
make sense that why he'd be there, right? I mean,
Yeah. So
and then
yeah,
Mercedes
yep, that's a Mercedes Vernado. So the initial reports were
not in this season at all.
apparently the reports were she's not in this season, but I want to say she might be. I
I
mean,
mean,
she's there at the premiere.
and
Yeah,
and and not Axe Woves not to show up again. Like it makes sense that they would be back.
yeah. I mean, you figure this year we're gonna get a bunch of Mandalorians. They would be kind of primed to kind of return. So I don't know.
I think if she's at the premiere, I think she's going to be there.
Yeah, but it could be the whole thing where they're just like Star Wars family and they kind of show up.
Is Mark Hamill there?
I don't think so. Katie O'Brien is there. She's back from playing the officer on the deck of Moff Gideon's ship.
Yeah, but I mean, she got.
I don't think she died. Did she? Did she get
I
shot?
thought. I thought.
Everyone on the bridge, right?
Yeah,
But was she on that bridge though? That's the
I
question. But no,
I
no,
thought.
no. Katie O'Brien's in the trailers. She's in the trailers walking next to Dr. Pershing. Yeah. She's in one of the trailers, so we know
I,
she's alive.
how would she have survived?
I mean, they didn't blow up the ship.
I'm so confused. I really thought. I thought like Gina Carano's character took her out.
Yeah.
I thought she was like the last one to go.
I don't remember. But yeah, Ming Na Wen is there. She has her Fennec Shan bag there, styled bag. Yeah, hopefully I haven't heard any reports of her being in this season at all. But yeah. Of course, Rick Famuyiwa made it to the red carpet. He's always wearing Jordans. If you look closely, that's his Easter egg. He's a big LA Dodger and Michael Jordan fan, as am I. I would wear Jordans too. And Carson Teva. This is also another guy that I'm really glad they hired someone like this. He's a huge Star Wars fan. He has his own YouTube channel. I think he does his own podcast too. And he collects Star Wars and he's constantly getting stuff sent to him by companies like Sideshow to kind of do an unboxing. I think he just did a video this past week of an unboxing
What's his
from a
channel?
company I never heard of. I'm not
I knew.
quite sure what his channel is.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither. I knew he was like a big collector or something, but I didn't know anything. Don't really know anything about him.
Yeah, he's a big time fan. I believe he also got an honorary membership to the 501st, and I think that he is actually trooped with the 501st as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, he's down in it, but I mean, he's a legit actor in Star Wars as well now. And of course, Amy Sedaris, she's a Pelimato. Pelimato grew on me. At first, I didn't like her, but she's grown on me. She's
Yeah,
kind of the little bit of comic relief and just that character in
you
this
know who
show that
to be at that premiere? R5D4,
yes.
who I think is gonna be like
Steal the show, right?
and Chopper, and I think he's gonna be a fairly good size to this season as like a new like kind of character. I think he's gonna obviously help pilot the ship, and hopefully his motivator still works or is now working. That's one of my predictions. I think he's R5 will be a big part to this season.
Mhm. Yeah, R5D4 stock I think is going to go through the roof. I think he is going to steal the show. And it's so great that Favreau and Filoni brought back R5D4 from the original trilogy
I
and
agree.
made him an integral part now, it feels like, in the new stuff. I mean, they took the Ambin Pulse rifle from the holiday special. They took the Camtono, Wilro Hood's ice cream maker, made it a practical, useful thing in this
But
show. It's a magic, man.
how cool would it be if we saw Luke piloting his X-wing in a space battle with Din Djarin and R5D4 and R2D2 are talking to each other.
Man, the stuff
We're
of
trying to
dreams,
outdo each.
man.
something funny like that in a space battle. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and the reports are we're gonna get the space battle. We were talking before the podcast, and the tradition for the Mandalorian is the stuff in the trailers is all the stuff that we're gonna get to a certain point in the season. Then after that, everything is like brand new to us.
Yeah,
And it almost feels like everything that we've seen in the first two trailer or the first trailers are going to be in the first two episodes.
yeah, that's what I think. I said that to you just I think a little while ago before we started.
Yeah. When we're counting down 1 hour away. Thanks, Macca.
So, what do you think the big storyline is? Is it? I mean, first of all, how does Moff Gideon get away? That's going to be wild.
Well, I think he's imprisoned, and he's in prison, and then he has people that are loyal to the Empire, and he breaks out some way somehow. I don't think that's too much of a stretch, but I think really for me it feels like after watching the trailers as well, the big heavy is Bo-Katan trying to get that dark saber back. How is
Mhm.
she going to get it back? That's the big question. How is Din Djarin going to either accept his role as a leader of Mandalore because he possesses the dark saber, or maybe I don't know, try and fight what destiny has in store for him as far as the whole lineage and the backstory of the dark saber go, and how does he kind of reconcile all of that with knowing he's a child of the Watch and he's in a cult, and is he going to break away from that cult, and or is he the thing is it's the cult for me. That's a weird scenario, and I thought he would lean more away from being a child of the Watch, but it seemed like he leaned into it in these past episodes, especially the Book of Boba Fett episodes,
Mhm.
because now he's kind of like trying to become a Mandalorian because Emily Swallow the Armor told him that he's no longer a Mandalorian, no longer. So the way he can, um,
Is it really a cult if there's only two people?
I think there's more Mandalorians out there. We saw the
But
big like enclave in
didn't Empire
episode
say something about now there were three of us in in that episode?
maybe 3 on that ring space station, because you look at the trailers, there's more Mandos around. So
Sure.
that's the question: is it going to get to the point? And you think of the whole strategy of Pedro Pascal not having to remove the helmet, and we all know there's 3 people that embody that suit and do stunts, and it works for Pedro because he can do shows like The Last of Us, record his voice, send it in an email, and then he's done for the Mandalorian, unless he has to take his helmet off again, which is going to be few and far between. So it works very strategically for him in his career, and maybe
Mhm.
it does work for Star Wars and contracts. I don't know. But yeah, that it's Bo-Katan versus Mando. That's the way I see it. And Katie Sackhoff just did an interview where she talks about not giving away anything, but she still kind of gave away some stuff, which is a little bit of a stretch. But I think she said she had 5 other people wear that Bo-Katan suit in the season. So that means she's gonna be stunt heavy. She's gonna have
Wow.
a lot of action, and I'm hoping to see Bo face off with Mando. I think that's what we're all kind of expecting,
Yeah.
and hopefully we do get to see it. Miss Sunflower says Din should just form his own cult.
Why not?
Also, Felipe here, he's shouting out Sabine. Sabine is a factor. Natasha Lou Bordizzo, she's been cast. She was introduced at Celebration. What kind of factor does she have? She is a Mandalorian. Makes sense for her to show up in the show. Make a whole lot of sense. She's got experience with the dark saber. She's got a lot of experience with Mandalore. Would make a whole lot of sense. And we might get her in episode 1. There was a review I was telling you about where someone mentioned we do see older, and I think he said newer, um, characters in episode 1, which is a little bit spoilery, but if you're watching us, I think it's fine.
All right, so let's make some guesses here. Do we see Boba Fett return? Do we see Luke in anything?
God, I hope so, man. I hope that there's a huge battle and they need help. I To me, it would kind of undermine what they're doing because Luke is so powerful in a way. The
Hmm.
scenario would have to be like perfect, you know. But it's
It
Luke's
was
gonna turn
last time.
into yeah. Well, yeah the whole Luke concept now is gonna have to, I don't want it to be like the Eagles like rescuing the hobbits, you know, because that's essentially what he is, you know. I mean, he's like a get out
Yeah,
of jail free card type situation. But man, I'd love to see him in action again. And of course, they hired that deep faker Shamook that has kind of really gotten those deep fakes to the point where it's like making a lot of people think we should get films of original trilogy characters when they were younger. And then there's
yeah,
that wild rumor out there, and it's like, oh man, that would make all the money, and that I think that would make us so happy to see something like that.
yeah. I mean, after seeing Harrison de-aged in the Indiana Jones trailer, would anybody really be shocked if we see Han Solo or Chewbacca somewhere in the series?
No, no, I mean it's
It'd have to make sense, of course.
after we saw Luke in the Book of Boba Fett, it was like for me, I was like anything is on the table. They could do anything they want.
Boba
The
Fett, Luke, R5D4, Bib Fortuna. Who else did they bring back?
um
I mean, you could say Gamorrean guards, but not really.
slim down,
Yeah,
slimline.
but like to see those characters. Oh, Bo Katan. Um, to see all these characters, it was like Ahsoka. They're giving it to you. They're not toying with you and dragging it out. It's Boba Fett, Luke, R5D4, Ahsoka, Bo Katan. Like, wow. If they're going to do that, why wouldn't they have Han and Chewie show up?
That well, okay, so we talked about it on the podcast. What is gonna be the big surprise in episode 1 of Mando season 3? Because they did it in Mando season 1, of course, Baby Yoda. They did it in Mando season 2 with Boba Fett. Who or what is gonna be the big surprise? Is there gonna be like a stinger at the end? What's gonna happen? I mean, could it be like Chewbacca? Could it be Chewie on Tatooine?
I don't think it'll be Chewbacca. That to me would come like episode like 5 or something like that. It just it sucks that there's only 8 episodes. Honestly, that's rough.
Yeah,
Bosk,
Felipe says, "We need
why
Bosk."
Bosk in Book of Boba Fett with Ford
Yes.
and Zuckus or you thought those bounty hunters were going to be the Book of Boba Fett. I'm sorry, it was a mess. It was a mess. Okay, it, it could have been so much better. There were so many frustrating things. First of all, instead of the get along gang on those little scooters, why didn't they have Boss and IG-11 or IG-88 and the bounty hunter? Imagine the bounty hunters instead of the get along gang there. How much better would those episodes have been? Those Mr. Spin and
Yeah.
those stupid modders. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what made me absolutely crazy about Book of Boba Fett? Fennec Shand and that operating room scene, which first of all was ridiculous. They just cut her open, and next thing you know, she's got a whole new internal system. The next scene you see her, she's lying in the sand. Like, what? She comes out of that procedure and they just leave her in the sand? Like, does nobody think anything logistically through that? Made me crazy. I'm sorry. It just makes me crazy. How does that not make everybody crazy? It just makes me crazy. It's just what? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it was wild. She had like steel pipes in her stomach, and yeah, the science really didn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is, Craig.
Maybe so. Maybe that we'll also see the Marshal with his new robot.
Yes, yes. Timothy Oliphant killed it, man. As Cobb Vanth, he did a fantastic job. Fantastic.
Yes, he did, and so did Bill Burr.
Oh yeah, man. Bill Burr was just excellent. He notoriously does not like Miss Sunflower says space fantasy. Yeah, Bill Burr notoriously does not really care for Star Wars. And Jon Favreau saw him at a Hollywood party and approached him and said, "Hey, I got a little thing for you if you want a job." And he's like, "What is it?" He's like, "I'm doing Star Wars." And he's like, nah, I don't care about Star Wars." And then Bill Burr, famously, he's talked about in several interviews, he said he has a buddy who does not like the Yankees or sports at all. And one day his buddy told him, I was at a coffee shop and I think I ran into one of your guys. His name was, I sat next to him and I got to talking to him. He said his name was Joe Torre. And yeah, I didn't know who he was, but he's like, you sat next to Joe Torre? So it pissed him off. So Bill Burr did Star Wars to piss off his science fiction buddy and was in Star Wars. That's how he got back at him.
Bill's a funny dude.
Yeah.
I got to interview Bill on my old radio show, and he was hilarious.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, I am hyped for this show. I got actually more pictures here. Favreau, Famuyiwa, Filoni up on stage addressing the crowd. Man, to be in that crowd, man, someday, Craig, we're gonna get there to the red carpet at one of these things.
Yeah, well, we kind of were on the red carpet for
for Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers. He's got boots on. That's pretty cool. I might wear boots to England for Celebration. Then we have the armor in Bo-Katan.
I mean, Celebration is coming up. Do you think we're going to hear season 2 of Obi-Wan? Because, look, Colin's here.
Hey, guys.
What's up, Colin? Nice of you to join us.
I know. Bright and early. All right. Yeah, because they just had the world premiere, right?
Yes, they showed the first 2 episodes to a crowd in a theater. That's cool. And yeah, we're just going over pictures from the red carpet. So here we have Emily Swallow and Katie Sackhoff. And are we gonna ever get to see the armor without her helmet? I think that's also another question.
I think the more important question is this going to be the final season where Din Djarin is like, okay, actually, you know what? I don't need to wear my helmet anymore. And then we'll see more of Pedro. Like,
yeah, we just talked about that before you joined.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Giancarlo Esposito on the carpet. And there's also another picture here. So a selfie taken of the crowd.
That's not that large of a theater.
I don't think that's the full bottom.
Okay. I was really like, whoa.
How did you get invited to that premiere? How do you get tickets to something like that?
You got to be in the show, work for Lucasfilm.
There were some members from the 501st that were also there too.
Yeah, there's some usual suspects that always show up to these red carpets as well, and they go to everything. I'm friends with a few of them actually, and I'm actually friends with one of the costume designers now. I was thinking about actually having her on the podcast, but she's physically at the premiere, so that's not possible. Yeah. But and there's Pedro's pants.
Oh my gosh, that outfit! What is the? Oh my gosh, that's funny. We are 58 minutes out. That's crazy. I can't believe it's here already.
I found out not that long ago that one, I don't really do stand up like I used to, but when I did, there was a comic whose name was Rosie, and her son is Adam Malikovic. I believe I'm saying that correctly. And he works on the shows, and she said he designed something for Ahsoka's headgear. I mean, this is a guy that I used to know in Orlando and see him all the time at different shows and whatnot. And now he's like doing like big time things. I'll see if I can pull it up on her Facebook here while we're talking. So it's kind of cool. Maybe I'll see if he'd be interested in coming on one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with people from The Mandalorian on the show and interviewing. We've had Dominic Pace a few times. We have Galen Howard, who was a guy at the front desk with a baseball hat on.
Yep.
and we also had Chris Bartlett. I think at the end of or the premiere of Andor, I believe, and yeah, he was fantastic. And I was lucky to run into him at Celebration and get to talk to him and be like, "Hey, it's me from the Star Wars Stuff podcast, trying to contact you." And yeah, he came on the show. And but yeah, I mean, everyone from the Mandalorian seems like they were at the premiere tonight, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a picture of Rosario Dawson fighting Mercedes Vernado there for the championship belt. I don't know how a championship belt got to the red carpet, but it did. So
I think it's also funny because I thought that they said that her character was not going to pop up this season.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean that's plausible. And I mean, once you're in Star Wars, you're part of the family and you're gonna get invited. So
I don't know. It makes sense if it's heavily on Bo-Katan, why wouldn't she be on there?
yeah,
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, Miss Sunflower says there are speculations that we'll see Naboo this season. We better see Jar Jar as a jester.
Did you guys see the theory that it was Jar Jar Binks that came in and saved Grogu at the temple?
Oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
That'd be rad.
I would just be so thrown off. It's like, is it going to be Mace Windu? Is it going to be like Syndralic or Quillen Voss? It's just Jar Jar Binks of just strolling through the temple of being like, oh no! And then he just like runs over, picks up Grogu, and just runs out. It'd be so funny.
Oh, please. No.
Who do you think saved Grogu, Craig?
You know, I don't know. I honestly, nothing quite makes sense for me. I mean, I thought, could it be Mace? Who else would do it? Is it just going to be a random person? Is it going to be R2-D2? I mean,
yeah. Maybe he hides inside of R2 and R2 kind of whisks him away.
I really don't know.
Maybe he's like a baton in like a baton race, and a youngling picks him up, gets slaughtered, tosses him to the next youngling, so on and so forth, and it's Anakin just like cutting him down.
Do you guys have any guesses?
I mean,
everyone wants Mace Windu to save him.
To me, it makes sense, and I know to a lot of people, they're like, no, and I'm just like, okay, well, listen. You have this Jedi that was on the Jedi Council. He was the second to the Grand Master of Yoda. And we know in history that a lot of Jedi have survived falls. And again, it's Mace Windu. So my guess is that the way that he survived is he uses that rage from his that his feelings of betrayal that he gets from Anakin and just everything, and then he just kind of uses that to stay alive, and then he just tries to find ways to kind of get back at the Empire at that point. And he's like, well, there's Grogu, and he could be a powerful he could be a powerful asset in some way. So he goes to the temple, finds him, saves him, and then and Grogu doesn't know what's going on. And then halfway through that journey from the events of Order 66 to where we see Grogu in the Mandalorian, he then escapes him or something like that, and then maybe Mace Windu becomes this type of antagonist. It looks like he's the hero, but in reality he's like the antagonist, and he's low-key kind of gone crazy. I'm just trying to think of ways that
you're making it complicated.
What?
I feel like you're making it a little complicated.
I'm just trying to make it make sense, because I don't want
it makes sense to be at the Jedi Temple.
I don't think
Jedi that's already in there. Some kind of like R2 could theoretically get in there, right? Like he could have been at the temple.
I really don't think R2 would keep that secret from Anakin. And I think Anakin would definitely be able to sense Grogu's presence, like, because there was a short period where they were not, separated. And I really don't think that R2 would be able to drop him off somewhere, go with Anakin and Mustafar, and then, come back later and maybe not even have Obi-Wan know about it. I just don't think that's the case. I think I would definitely scratch off R2 in my opinion. I think there's a chance that it could be Quinlan Vos, or it could not even be a Jedi that we know. Like I think everyone wants Mace Windu because it's Mace Windu, and he had a very short journey in live action, in my opinion. And I would love to see more of that character. And on top of that, he also Sam Jackson has been trying to come back to Star Wars for a very long time. And
but in interviews, it seems like when Sam talks about it, like he hasn't done anything to come back. There's been no hint of it.
Actors lie. You have to remember that. We didn't think, well, we all thought, but Ewan was very convincing of saying like, oh, well, I mean, hey, I would love to, but at this point now it looks like I'm knocking at Disney's door, like, for a job. And then, at D23 2019, he was like, I'm officially coming back. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, but in reality, we all knew. I kind of got that gut feeling that like Sam Jackson is gonna come back. I don't know how large of a role like he would come back in, but it also makes sense.
Yeah, there's always opportunity for flashback stuff too. I mean,
I think I know who it is. Snaggletooth.
No, you're absolutely wrong. Max Rebo was on his way from a gig, and he's going on through, and then he's just, I love how you have that all ready to go. That makes me so happy.
He hides him in the piano.
Yes.
You notice his belly tattoo there? Pretty cool.
Yeah. That is an exclusive picture for season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Turned out to be Snaggletooth. You guys would look at me like I had some secret. Like, how did you know? You know.
No,
I would like to see like John Williams get the maestro in there on film doing something. That'd be interesting. John Williams saving Grogu.
I think it's.
He should have been with Baron Pop or whatever, Baron Pop or whatever.
No. I think it's gonna be
Papa Noida.
Yeah, Papa Noida.
Prune Face from Return of the Jedi.
Oh gosh,
for those who don't know, Star Wars Celebration 2019, we had this giant argument in this pizza parlor about this character Prune Face, and Craig was so passionate about it, and I don't know if you fully remember that argument, but it was just so funny, and I've never seen you more like.
Can I guess? Was it something? Okay, here's my guess. That the mask that they used for Prune Face was probably they initially tried to use for Palpatine because they look similar.
Yeah. That
I could see a Polaroid of it. I'm like, I bet that was early Palpatine stuff.
And James was 100% disagreeing with you, and he was on the other side of the table, and you guys were just going back and forth. And I just remember seeing Craig like this, like, no, and you're like pointing your finger, and I'm just eating my pizza laughing.
If I was heated with James, it was over Last Jedi, not which I still don't want to talk about.
It's so funny.
You brought it up, Craig. The Last Jedi.
I can't escape it.
All right. So Miss Sunflower says Mace Windu will create a lot of plot holes if he lived. There's no Mace Windu will just stay quiet after Revenge of the Sith. There's no way he would not hunt down Vader. Now, again, I think they will make it make sense. I don't think Dave Filoni would just throw Mace Windu in there just to throw him in there. I think they'll definitely make his story make sense. I think it will have to do something with him falling down the path to the dark side, and maybe this is where we have the great Jedi code become canon again, because I could definitely see him being like, all right, I didn't see this whole thing with the Emperor and all that stuff, and I should have, and I'm angry that all of the Jedi are dead, but I still want to, not go full dark side, but I'm right in the middle. I could see him doing that, because to me, Mace Windu was this very was this by the book Jedi. And when you go by the book and a big rule is broken, that makes you question a lot of things. And I think that's definitely going to be part of his journey if we see him return. And I just got a feeling that rage is going to be something that's going to follow him for a bit, just because everything that happened in Revenge of the Sith. He is going to be mad with Vader. He's going to be mad with the Jedi. And then how cool would it be if secretly, like, he actually does go out to, if he reaches out to Yoda and he goes to Dagobah or something, and he tries to get advice from him. And then he, tries to get Yoda to come, tries to get Yoda to come with them to take down Vader and like everything like that. And I think just seeing different flashbacks would be great. And I think one great way to introduce his character back into the universe would be to have him save Grogu. Then they have him officially full out come back for the Book of Boba Fett season 2 if they announce it. I definitely could see that working, but they gotta make his story make sense of where he's been all this time, and they can answer that by doing the flashback stuff, kind of like what they did in the first season of the Book of Boba Fett. I know I know it's not gonna be for everyone, but I'm just trying to make sense of it, and I'm trying to prepare everyone if this happens, because there's a big possibility that it could, and then everyone's gonna be like, no, and I'm gonna be like, well,
I mean, doesn't I think it makes the most sense that it would be Mace, right? Or I mean, it's got the Jedi are in the temple, right?
yeah.
Mace goes back to the temple to help, or to try and help, and it's too late.
I
mean, Eric, what do you think? Who do you think? I mean, Dave, who do you think? Your mic is up.
I was saying it feels like it could be Mace. It feels like they could work the story to fit Samuel L. Jackson in somehow, some way. It feels like they've done stuff in the past. They've done more in the past to kind of almost retcon situations and stuff. And I think they could make it work. So Eric's saying, could it be a senator like Mon Mothma or Bail Organa?
Yeah, but how are they going to get into the temple? Bail Organa tried to, and they sent him away, and he was like running away screaming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I mean, it could be Joe Castanew, but I'm pretty sure the actress already passed away.
That means nothing in these days, Colin.
Right, I know, because they could do a deep.
Where's Nick Gillard at? I mean, he hasn't shown up anywhere. Is he still with us?
I haven't heard about him.
Nick Gillard, Zendralig.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was like, I know who that is.
The stunt designed like the lightsaber duels and stuff.
Yeah. So his character, in Legends, he has a full out fight with Anakin, and there is a character, there is a character in there that does look very, like it looks like the back of his head with like the ponytail and like everything, and it could be Cinderella. I think that honestly would be, very cool. But, and I'm really glad that James popped on after we had that whole like
Last Jedi talk.
no, we were just having a conversation about how it would make sense if Mace Windu does return, and I was just preparing people just in case, because it might happen, James. It might happen, and then I'm gonna see you, kind of on the couch and just be like, ugh.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna. Yeah, even come close to happening.
So who do you think?
James is getting called out.
Who do I think? Oh, sorry. But who do I think is gonna save Grogu? I don't know. I think that's the fun thing, is it's gonna be someone we'll least expect, except for Mace Windu. It's not gonna be Mace Windu. I know that much. But
you are gonna keep saying his name like Beetlejuice, and he's gonna be the first character that pops up on the screen. It's gonna be the funniest thing to me. Okay.
Say his name, Colin. It'll pop up.
I've been seeing the Jar Jar rumor spreading around lately. That was weird subliminal message. But no, I've been seeing the Jar Jar rumor a lot.
Yes.
Lately, which is interesting and weirdly enough more possible than Mace Windu, but I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. I'm excited to see who they're gonna have save him, and I think it's whoever it is. It's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, I'm excited.
I don't know. It's a real head scratcher. I'll say that. Nobody seems to. I've not heard anything that makes anything like more sense than Mace to me. I know it seems like crazy, but
or like, I don't know. I like the whole R2-D2 was the one who did it, just because of how happy Grogu. How Grogu. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but the fact that R2 had something to do with it, I think is what I want to see, because of how happy Grogu was to see R2.
Those were my guesses were Mace Windu, R2-D2, or Snaggletooth, and so
the only reason why I don't think it was R2 is because it just doesn't logically make sense to have him like kind of take him away from the temple, put him somewhere, go with Anakin to Mustafar, and then come back later and get him without Yoda or Obi-Wan or anyone really knowing about his whereabouts. And then also, if that happened, Anakin would definitely sense a Force presence like that nearby. I don't think he would just be like, "Are you Force sensitive now, R2? Like, what's going on?" Like, I don't think something like that would happen. So
true. So, but I do hope, Colin, we get the explanation of why Grogu was so happy to see R2.
Because he's a 50-year-old child that just is happy about everything.
Yeah, I think your argument for Anakin sensing another Force sensitive isn't valid, Colin, because why didn't he sense Leia as his daughter in A New Hope,
Well, I can answer that one.
I know why too.
He was mainly focused on Luke. He like did not even think about Leia. And I can see James's grumpy face. All right, James.
No, I was gonna say, you know why he wasn't thinking about Leia? Because George Lucas was not thinking about Leia at the time either. George Lucas was like, Leia is Leia. She's not the sister. It's not her. It's not her. But
logically, he wasn't thinking about Leia because he was focused on the moment. He was all focused about Luke. He wasn't even thinking about the greatness of having a second child. He just thought Luke was his only son. So
he didn't even know anything about Luke. So
yeah. So no, I I'm just saying. I know a lot of people don't want it to happen, but Mace Windu, it's probably going to.
So okay.
A lot of people are going to be grumpy. I'm all right if they make sense of it. That's the only reason why I would be okay with it, is if they make it make sense.
So what are you going to do if it's not Mace Windu?
And I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's the Mandalorian. Let's go. I don't care. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but I'm just preparing people because there's a chance. There's a chance that Mace Windu will return, and then he would be the antagonist for season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett if they announce it. Just saying.
Just promise me you're not gonna be angry like a certain Star Wars fan if it doesn't go his way, and then he's just sitting there like this, watching whatever.
Do you mean Joseph after he watched Attack of the Clones?
No, I mean our nemesis that we have on the.
I am lost. Who? Oh!
Yes, yeah. The guy who if it doesn't go his way, he's like, it was stupid, it was dumb. I don't understand. Like, Star Wars doesn't have what it.
Don't. Okay. Wow. I was like, who are you talking about? And I was like, oh shoot, yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, no.
So what time is it right now? What time is it? It's 11. Oh,
35 minutes still.
But they'll probably 5 minutes early.
Yeah. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Well, I'm checking it, guys. I'm checking it just to make sure.
Because every
30 minutes early.
I checked it earlier. My wife was like, "It's not on yet." I was like, "It might be." they might
you don't know.
Don't talk to me.
You don't know.
But James was like this.
I can feel your anger. Let me see.
They got the image up for season 3.
Yeah, they switched. They switched it tonight because I went on there earlier today and I was watching a little bit of a Mandalorian, and I went back on just tonight and they've already switched the picture. So
I love all of the comments about James's beard. I think it's hilarious.
Well, because I did say I was gonna shave the beard.
You did shave it and it just grew back already.
And it already grew back. No, I didn't shave it. And so I'm gonna just keep it. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing with this thing. I don't know what's happening with it anymore. So it's just.
Yes, dude.
Do what Casca Reeves did, but do it for your beard.
You could do the Blackbeard beard. You could do the you could also do like the Dwalin or the Ballin beard, where it's like the braid, it goes out and then comes back in. You have so many options, bro.
It's not that long yet. It's not that long.
I know.
Yet, so,
keep it growing. Keep it growing until you end up being wrong, and then you have to shave half of it.
What am I gonna be wrong about? Oh, Mace Windu. That's right. Yeah.
So,
what
Chris,
planet are you guys most
great patron, is asking us what planet are you guys most excited to see?
I know my wife's not excited to see Tatooine.
I was just about to say. I know Brooke really wants to see Tatooine again, and so does Ray. It's so funny because anytime they show a trailer for anything Star Wars and Tatooine is in there, Brooke and Ray are like,
not Tatooine. And they definitely are going back to Tatooine. We've already seen it in the trailer a couple of times, and including like some type of speeder chase type situation going on, like two speeders run next to each other in Mos Espa, and at least it looked like Mos Espa. But I'm thinking, well, actually, we know this, and they already confirmed that Boba Fett will have an appearance in this season, which I don't know why people are surprised, because it's like, if you're going back to Tatooine, of course you're going to show that character. Yeah. And then also, how do you guys feel about Jon Favreau announcing that Grogu was training with Luke for 2 years?
There's a brand new interview that just came up on from the premiere, and he did confirm that it was between. He goes 1 and 2 years, and they goes or 2 and 2. I'll play it for you if you want to see it.
But you really set the internet on fire today. Yes, you did. because you said that Grogu was with Luke Skywalker for many years.
I don't know if I said many years. It's probably about the real time that we've experienced it. So it was the end of season 2 when they said goodbye. We checked in the Book of Boba Fett about a year ago when they parted company again, and then he rejoined the Mandalorian. So now I think somewhere in there, more than 1 and less than, somewhere between 1 and 2, 0.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way it sounds like he was with Luke for only a year.
Okay.
And that we're coming through another year.
But that's certainly more than I thought it was when you watch it.
Me too.
It felt like it was like they just started.
Yeah, that felt like at least 2 weeks to me.
Yeah, it felt like when Luke was with Yoda, But there's that whole crazy theory that on Dagobah time is it's a different time, and then how long Leia and Han were on the asteroid, how long that actually was. But yeah, when I read the article, from what I understood, it's 2 years total between it, and then it's a year with Luke. Actually, I misheard it. I thought he meant it's been 2 years since they were reunited, and this is 2 years later. That's what I was thinking it meant when I first read that article. But
that would have been wild.
Right? It would have been so what was he with Luke for a week?
Yeah.
But no, I actually like it that it's a year, because it means that when we see Grogu doing stuff, it's it makes sense. He learned, and
They should have had just one line of dialogue that cleared it up, where he could have said something to Ahsoka. I haven't seen him in a while. Anything would have made it feel more powerful, just to add that little element to it.
Did it confuse anyone when Luke and Grogu did show up in the Book of Boba Fett on how Boba knew where the planet was? Because I don't think they really explained that. Did Luke send him coordinates of where they could be found or something?
Nobody questioned that. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they didn't really need to go into how they did that, but I'm sure there was
that really wasn't that important.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Unless, no, I don't know. Never mind. I have no idea. You're right. That's a good question. Maybe I hope there's a line somewhere in this where they say he was with him for a year. Because I like it when Star Wars explains stuff, but then I also hate it when behind an interview will say, "Oh yeah, this is what it is," and you're like, you got to say it in the movie. You have to. I will say, whenever I saw a TikTok when they were somebody said something Abrams said, "Oh yeah, this is why this happened," and then they were like, "Yeah, but you didn't tell us, so nobody has any idea that that's why it happened. So you need to explain it to us in the show or the movie." So I'm hoping we get that explanation somewhere. How long it was.
I don't think we're going to it, because I saw an interview today with Favreau, and he made it seem like, we discussed these kind of aspects of what we should tell you and what we don't, and it just gave the vibe no, they wouldn't be something they're going to outright allude to or say. But I mean, think about Empire Strikes Back. It's so frustrating. It's how long was Luke with Yoda? In the movie, It feels like he wasn't with him for very long. But then it's is he with him for 2 years, 6 months? What was it?
I've heard, Colin could probably, or I don't know. Do you know the amount of time in canon that Luke was with Yoda? Because I've heard weeks that he was with him for a few, for weeks.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say he was with him for a couple of, a month.
I believe it was, I believe it was something on the lines of 6 weeks.
Okay.
I'll double check, but I think I remember.
I just checked, and Google says at least 1 month.
At least a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means Han and Leia were on that asteroid for a month, just chilling.
A few weeks to a month at most.
Isn't that funny when they shot the movie? They were just like, you know what I mean? The movie's going and this happens. Because you can't stop. You can't do a weird fade to time has passed. You have to keep the movie going.
Well, I mean, it's not that important.
Yeah.
That's why it was never kind of released until Star Wars became this huge thing where everyone wants to know every tiny, minute detail. But
True. But it would help clear things up, like little just comments like, Han, we've been on this crater for a month. Like, a simple comment like that. It's like, she could have been aggravated. Like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah. But see, to go back to James's point earlier, I mean, Lucas didn't know at the time. I mean,
yeah, Lucas had no idea.
Yeah, we're just filling in like the gaps now, and we're trying to make sense of it all. And yeah.
No, my favorite thing David has ever said was when Lucas made Star Wars and writing Empire and Return of the Jedi. He was literally laying the tracks for the train as it was coming like full speed ahead. Like he was just like, I gotta get this thing, like. This is what's happening. This is what's happening, and we were all like, "Yeah, this is great," And Lucas is like, "I had a plan. It's like you really did it, but you made it work. Like you made all three of those movies work."
Yes, sometimes that works, like Star Wars, and sometimes it really doesn't. So,
yeah, he made it work, which is pretty great. What time are we at right now? I'm getting anxious. I'm getting
it's only been
fast.
Yeah, I was saying.
Yeah,
I'm checking Disney Plus.
Do you guys think that there's anything that's going to be jaw-dropping in this episode that afterwards when we're like, wow, I cannot...
There has to be. So, season 1, episode 1, we saw Grogu for the first time. Season 2, episode 1, we saw Boba Fett for the first time. It was that hook that got us like, oh, crap, I'm curious what this hook is going to be at the end of this episode. Like, what's going to be the thing we're all going to see that's going to make us lose our minds?
Sabine?
The bean?
Yeah, Sabine.
Sabine. Oh! Or the whole
did
cast
you actually
of the freaking...
think Craig said
Yeah, I did.
Bean.
The bean.
Yeah, I was like, did I miss something from the conversation?
Sabine's twin sister, the Bean.
Or the whole cast of Rebels, you know what I mean? Like something happens to the ghost.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna lose
lands.
It. Like
I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna lose it when we eventually see Zeb, because I've been wanting to see Zeb in live action for such a long time because he's such a goofy, type character, and the fact that the way that he's designed was the original design for Chewie. So I would love to see him live action, and I think we will in Ahsoka, and it's just gonna be mind blowing. I'm so excited for that.
So I want everybody to make a prediction. I'll just say Sabine, since I already said. I want everybody to make their jaw-dropping prediction.
Can I piggyback on that and just say like something Rebel centric, like Chopper or the Ghost or something like that?
Oh, wait. Oh, okay, wait, hang on. How about we say for episode 1?
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're talking
really?
about.
Oh, okay, wow. Like, all right, shoot.
Yeah, what's gonna be the Grogu /
Eric says Ezra.
Boba Fett? That's too much. I think they're holding Ezra back until Ahsoka. I
think they're holding Sabine for Ahsoka too, because Ahsoka doesn't.
Ron.
Well, if you think about it, Sabine doesn't leave Lothal all that time until Ahsoka comes and gets her to go find Ezra, and we're gonna see that in the Ahsoka series. So I don't think that she's gonna make some type of appearance unless they take a clip directly from the Ahsoka show and it's Ahsoka showing up to like go and get her, and it's just like the end of Star Wars Rebels, but it's that live action scene, that scene that we saw at that sizzle reel from the panel from the Mandalorian from Star Wars Celebration this last year, because it did show that. It didn't show Ahsoka looking directly at Sabine, but it did show Sabine at the wall and turning around, and so it was like that copy and paste from Rebels. So I don't think we're gonna see Sabine in Mando season 3 unless it's that clip.
Well, make your prediction then. Who do you see tonight?
All right. Well, I'm not gonna lie. If we end up going to Tatooine in that first episode, There's a chance that we could see Max Rebo just walking down the street. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
He's just happy.
Yes, no. I'm telling you right now, there is a chance. There is a chance, and I'm trying to speak it into existence because I'm tired of people coming up to me at work and just on the street of being like, "Hey, he's dead." Now, and then I have to be like, "Nope, you're wrong. He survived. He didn't make it to the gig that day."
We didn't see him there that night. It was clear he had the night off.
I know, but people like in the lower left corner keep saying he's dead.
He's not
He's
dead.
not.
James, why would they bring Max back just to die?
So
Explain that to me.
Colin could give him a proper farewell. That's why. That's why they brought him
That's
back.
not a proper farewell. How dare you,
James?
I'm gonna say it would be crazy if we saw a legacy character back, like
Han,
like a Han Solo
tonight, though.
Like in that first episode, I think.
No, just imagine the hook that would give everybody's excited to see Grogu and Din Djarin back again. Imagine seeing Han Solo back for something like he helps them out.
I said I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him this season, but I don't think we're going to see him tonight.
Okay. I'm just gonna put my crazy prediction down. It's gonna be we're gonna see Han Solo at the end. Just because seeing Boba Fett at the end of season 2 episode 1 was freaking insane. So,
that would be, if we did, that would be jaw dropping.
Oh shoot. Okay. Well, let's see. I would love to see a classic bounty hunter. I would love to see some type of cameo from IG-88 or Bosk or Dengar or Snaggletooth, apparently. But yeah, no.
But watch, they don't even do it. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna. It's gonna end. We're gonna be like, oh, okay. Like, we're hyping ourselves up, but we should. Right. We should just watch the show. I don't care.
It's Star Wars, man. It's Mandalorian. Like, we are going back into that same. And honestly, I don't think no one will ever remember the feeling of watching that first episode of The Mandalorian, and all you hear is the beeping of his tracker for his fob, and then he's walking through. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, this is happening. He's walking through. He walks through a bar. He he pulls someone through a door, and that guy gets cut in half, and you're like, oh my gosh, okay. And then it's like, we have no idea what to expect, and that's the beauty of this. It's just like, I want to be, I really don't care, like, how things happen. I don't care. Well, like, I care about Star Wars, but like, I want to be thrilled. I want to feel like a kid again. I will always feel like a kid from the scene in the Book of Boba when Mando is flying on his new ship through Pegger's Canyon. I will always feel like a kid again. Like, as soon as I'm seeing him fly through the area where Anakin flew in the Phantom Menace, like, that's the type of feeling I want. And I'm just getting goosebumps talking about it because it was just phenomenal. And I love that they're bringing that sense of Star Wars back into it. And I think that's what we're getting with this season. It's going to be the same, but it's going to be it's going to be different at the same time. And I think that's the way it needs to be. What?
David, you got to make your prediction.
Okay. Thrawn? I don't think
it's going to be Thrawn.
The first episode, really.
At the end.
That would be wild.
Do any of you guys think we'll see Moff Gideon tonight?
I don't think so.
Wait. So hold up. So you think that Thrawn is more plausible than seeing Moff Gideon?
Well. I mean, look at the facts, Colin. I mean, after every episode 1 of every season, there's a big reveal. Thrawn would be a huge reveal.
That's true.
Moff Gideon in a cell. I mean, that's par for the course. So that's what I think. But yeah, Liam thinks Hondo would be a good choice.
I would die. I would die. I would be so happy if if they're traveling and that he goes to a spaceport, and then he walks, he hops off his ship and grabs Grogu, and then you hear, hello, my friend. And I'm going to be like, no way. I would lose it if Hondo showed up. That would be crazy.
My favorite meme is to this day when Obi-Wan is like, we must be cautious going into the cantina in episode 4. And he steps into the cantina at the bar. He looks over at the bar, and Hondo's like, hello, my friend. And he's like, oh, crap. He's like, we gotta go. It's like there's no other bounty, there's no other pilot in the cantina except for Hondo. Like it's like, oh, that would be the worst. But
that would be so funny.
Seeing Hondo live action would be pretty cool.
I think that they're gonna save that for Skeleton Crew. I just got a feeling that he would just show up in there. Like that would make sense to me because that show will take place in the unknown regions and I just feel like Hondo at this point is trying to figure out what he truly wants in life, and what other way to do that than explore. And I think, he'll be doing it, and he runs into the Skeleton Crew, and somehow Ahsoka gets caught up in the mix, and then they just, and he'll be like, just like old times, like that of that one time when you were on a ship with a bunch of younglings, and I try to kill you all, and Ahsoka would be like, ha ha ha. I remember that. And then, I just think that would be pretty cool. But that also kind of fits his, kind of story. I was surprised he didn't show up in season 1 of
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I was blown away by that.
It seemed kind of like super easy to include him somehow in the Book of Boba Fett,
and they didn't.
And the fact they didn't was just like, wow, they couldn't figure out a way to get Hondo in there.
Yeah,
Book of Boba Fett was such a mess to me, James. Like it really was.
Yeah, I was talking about that today with some people, and yeah, we all kind of agreed. Like it started good, dipped, and then it ended. It ended pretty okay.
You know what?
That middle chapters, I'm like.
It felt like they didn't have a big budget for that show. That's what it felt like.
But they had, why? Because they had Danny Trejo in there. That's why. He took all their money, probably.
Which that was still a waste to me because we didn't get any training montage, like at all of Boba, like talking to him or even seeing him learn how to ride the Rancor. I think that would have been an awesome episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just hearing Danny Trejo explaining the lore.
Yeah,
I love there.
I would love that. I even loved him, just kind of giving a small, kind of hint of history of how the Rancors are and everything. And I'm like, that's fantastic. Why on earth do we not get more of that? I still think it's great that we saw him, that we saw Boba ride a Rancor on the streets of Mos Espa. Just I'm not sure if you guys remember, but there was this old Star Wars game called Star Wars Xbox Connect, and you actually had the chance of being a Rancor, and then you could walk through the streets of of different planets, like of Naboo, Dantooine, Tatooine, and you could just like eat stormtroopers, throw land speeders, walk through buildings. And I thought of that right away, and I just remember how fun that was. Yeah, I just thought how much fun that was.
You get to live out all your fun Star Wars fantasies, and Colin's like, I'm gonna be a Rancor and go through the streets and just murder people, just straight up murder everybody I see.
I was it was that, and it was the Star Wars Dance Revolution mode that they had on there too.
I'm Han Solo. Han
Solo. Exactly.
So Liam's asking the question about Mace Windu saving him, but we just spent 30 minutes before he joined the podcast talking about this. Not about the beard, but Mace Windu saving Grogu.
I don't think we will. I mean, if we do, I'll be surprised. For Mace Windu coming back, we also just talked a bunch about that too. Yeah, I mean it's plausible. My only thing is that it's got to make sense. I'm very optimistic. Either way, I'm going to be happy. And if it ends up being Jar Jar Binks for some reason, still gonna be happy.
All right, we're 2 minutes away from when this thing should be dropping.
No way.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know, James.
It drops 10 minutes early, I'm telling you.
Not always.
Most of the time.
I think that's just you being hopeful.
I keep scrolling, hoping it says season 3, but it doesn't.
Are we going to do a reaction show after it ends?
Yeah. Yes. No.
Yeah, we can hop back on.
Okay. Well,
a short one.
Yeah, because don't forget, I still have to watch The Bad Batch because for those who don't know, we are doing a.
I already told them.
All right, cool.
I didn't talk about the 2 episodes every Wednesday, but I mean, that's just like a formality. But I did say y'all have an awesome Bad Batch breakdown show every Wednesday.
Mando, Bad Batch, separate shows. We will talk about all the Star Wars news, including the breakdown for Mandalorian, in one episode, and then we'll have the Bad Batch breakdown, and it will just be that. So, yeah. Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we wrap it up so we can get our snacks or hit the bathroom or whatever, and everybody can get ready.
All right.
And
it's there. It's on. It's on now.
Oh shoot. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Adios, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Oh my gosh, it's here.
Is it?
Yeah.
How'd y'all get it before me?
I don't know.
All right. May the force be with you. We'll be back in 35 minutes.